Hi, everybody. It is Sunday, November 14th. I cannot believe this month is halfway over. We have some amazing new people to welcome into the group today. Ruth is on and she just joined. We also have Rivka, who isn't on yet, and also Devora, who should be getting on, and they're all three new from Rehovot, friends of Sorel and Pesha, and we're so excited to have them. Other coaches, was there anybody else who had a new challenger you want to welcome?
Yeah, Donna Cohn, friends of mine here from Odine. She can't make it. She has a class tonight, so she can't make it. She can't make it on. But yeah, exciting stuff. I love when we have new people join, like by the end of the year.
I love it. Welcome, Judith. Yoni, guys, a bunch of our coaches need your prayers, have sick children, myself included. So pray and pass it on. You are all.
Thank God, sick in a relative way.
Right. No, viruses, strep, hopefully not corona, anybody, and everybody makes it where they're supposed to go. This is a really special call tonight, and a really special coach is running it. It's not me. I want you to really think about tonight how you're going to see yourself being successful. And this week is a really important call, because a lot of times when you start watching your health and paying more attention, it's scary and we don't want to look too close. We want to stand nice and far back and look really big picture. Am I drinking some water? Am I eating some veggies? But really, the same way we've become close as a community, because we go deep and we're willing to look each other in the face every week. When you have a great relationship with your tracker, it's setting you up to have a great relationship with your food and your body. And if there is one coach who embraced tracking, right? You love tracking, come on. From the beginning, and was like, oh, this is what I need to do, of course, and really was able to park her baggage in a big way and be really successful with tracking. It was the amazing coach Ayelet. So I want to welcome Ayelet to lead this amazing call on tracking. And we know that some of this stuff, if this is your day one of 2B Mindset, some of this stuff is going to be in a bit, okay? Don't get overwhelmed. You're getting a glimpse into a beautiful future that's coming for you, and a beautiful relationship with food that you're going to have. And when she's speaking to the you today and the you in the future, because we have people who've been in this community and have had tremendous success, and people who are sticking in this community because they want to deepen their relationship to their food and their body. So I'm turning the floor over to Ayelet. I'll be running the chat. So I'll be writing down and copying things that Ayelet's saying here and questions she's asking, so that she can, when she opens up the floor, I can direct her to who to call on. And just so you know, if you have a question that you want to say, use the reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom. It says reaction. If you hit it, there's a bunch of things there. Raise hand, give her a heart, applaud her when she says something that inspires you. And Ayelet, do you want to do the shake out everything? You want to just jump straight into the call?
You want to, guys? This is something that Lily said. It's funny. Lily mentioned this a little while ago, and I'm one to say I'm not like a loosey-goosey, like person who dances things. But there is actually science behind changing your status. So instead of everyone just being blah, even though I'm sorry, some of you might be sick, you don't need to dance. You can just stand up. By the way, yes, I'm in pajamas, because that was how hard the first half of my day was. So you want to jump, you want to this, move your body, something, shake your head, just recalibrate where you are right now. Like literally, just shake your head, redo your hair, something. I don't care. Yeah, here, just do something so that you are here and you are here now, and we are starting, and we're saying goodnight to Lily's kids, and and we are ready to go. Now, anyone here who knows me also knows that I can talk to a wall. So I really had so much to say. So if you see my eyes go down, it's because I put a lot down on paper to kind of help me stay a little bit more streamlined and focused here. Yes, the topic is tracking. Yes, we asked already from last week on Friday that if you had any questions about tracking, the most liked questions would be answered. I am going to tell you guys that you guys really suck at some homework assignments, because nobody really jumped on that bandwagon, and like, that's just a little bit, you have great coaches here that we can all work together, and I'm sure people have questions about tracking. But tonight, I want to take everything that you're thinking about tracking, and you might think this is just going to be another call about tracking, but I'm not discussing the details that you need to put in, or even, do I really need, even that might have been one of the questions, do I really need a track? Short answer is yes. But I'll get into that in terms of what that means. I'm not going into the more details, the more you can lose weight. There's so many things that we have discussed in the past, or that are also in Alana's main videos, okay? I want to talk about tracking in a way, like if you saw my post this morning and what I wrote there, I want to talk about tracking in the fact that you then take ownership. And what does that mean when I said, are you the author of your own journey? And what does tracking have to do with that? Okay, before we're going to get to questions in the second half of this call, but I really just have some things that I want to give over to you in your, in these thoughts. What does that mean? Are you the author of your own journey? And how does the tracker, how is this tracker that we have, or the way we talk about tracking, different than other programs or diets that have food journals? Okay, a food journal is something that's very different. Other programs are something that's very, very different. All other programs is basically somebody else's script that you're adapting to, right? It's kind of like a one size fits all. And you need to figure out where you find yourself in that, what that means. To Be Mindset and the beauty of the tracker is not just, and you've heard it say, it's not just about writing down your food. The time, the mindset, the water, the bathroom, what was great about the day, all those things that you see in the actual written tracker, okay? Now, I like the written tracker. The app works for many people, and if you are somebody who's really good about adding a lot of the additional things into the notes, then great, use the app. But if you are not somebody that can then think to expand beyond just what you ate, then I say start with the pen and paper and really start including that, because it becomes your own story. It's where you're writing down in the foods what else was going on. It's not so much about I ate a cookie or I had a huge plate of broccoli. It's what was going on in that time. I can tell you for the first, maybe not first, but very, very seldomly do I not finish what's on my plate. Dinner tonight, I didn't finish my vegetables. I know you think like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Why even get to a place like that? For me, that's a big deal. I take the food that's on my plate. I eat a crazy amount of volume. My day today was insane. Not on purpose. I did not have breakfast until 1 o'clock today. That's not normal. That's not even called breakfast. I included a ton of vegetables because that's not breakfast. I don't believe in intermittent fasting. Like, that's not what I was trying to do. My body, especially in my 40s, doesn't respond to intermittent fasting. It needs food in order for my metabolism to go. So I was fitting my meals into such a small span of time, I literally couldn't finish my dinner. And I wrote that down. And I wrote about my day, what happened today, that my day started off busy. It's like your diary. It's literally your story. So, and it's happening in real time. So you don't know even what's happening next. You have to let that unfold. And that's just what's so beautiful about it. It's your script and it's happening for you, to you, and only you can be putting that other information in and therefore learning from it. Okay, that's what I'm going to say in terms of writing in your tracker. Okay, use it. use it so that you can learn from it. The whole idea of Try Track See is not just about the food. Okay, and if you think the times that you eat don't make a difference, they do. You need to be able to start looking at that tracker and kind of like predicting patterns, right? What's the beauty of having the tracker and learning from yourself? Yes. Oh, thank you, Jen. That's a very good point. It's not only are you writing your own story, you're also the editor of your own story, meaning you get to go back, learn from, change. That's the beauty. You get to figure out what works for you. You get to edit it. You get to make those changes as opposed to other programs that if you don't follow it, all of a sudden you're lost. Well, what now? That didn't work for me. With To Be Mindset, you get to be the editor and keep on trying and experimenting or exploiting what's working, what's not. And learning the patterns that work for you. Like you might see days, you know, like, yes, we'll always say more water, more weight loss, drink the more water. The water's great. But you also might realize days that you're drinking more water, you're snacking less. And that may not be something that you realize. Maybe you were only looking at one place of the amount, how many ounces of water you drink that day. Really study your own, connect all the different things that go on. Maybe days that you have breakfast later, you know, your eating is then off kilter or things like that, okay? It's for you to start connecting the dots and seeing those things. And that's what I mean by becoming the author of your own journey and using the tracker to make that work. Before we also answer some more questions, I wanted to bring up another thing that I heard, and I discussed this with Jen a little while ago, like a few days ago, because I just heard it and we were on the phone, and it brought up an amazing thing about tracking, and she really helped me actually put it into a graphic. So I'm going to share that with you guys when it comes to tracking. You've all, I mean, I guess anyone who's been in the group for a little while has seen Jen created like that, just kind of like a weight calendar, right? Where you can just keep track of only your weight. That's then something different, but it gives you a perspective of what happens every Sunday or what happens throughout the week when you're just looking at the numbers or seeing your fluctuation. I heard a beautiful idea about consistency. Yes, thank you, Jim. Like in everything we talk about zooming in, zooming out, and that's gonna be one of the questions I want to talk about also. I'm talking so fast, so please stop me if something's not making sense. I just feel like I have so much I want to give over to you. We use the tracker to see what goes on from day to day, and we zoom out very often to also see our weight because, of course, there's regular fluctuation. Anyone who knows me long enough and has been in this group long enough or has even seen my tracker probably knows that my favorite words when it comes to health and To Be Mindset is consistency compounds. If you've read The Compound Effect, raise your hand. If you haven't, look it up. It's a book called The Compound Effect. That's simple. It's easy reading and it's simple but incredible. Consistency compounds, and that really helps. Combining that with tracking really helps take away so much of the emotion that we say about the scale controlling our emotions, because that's the zoom out effect. So you may not completely understand what's happening every day, but when you zoom out and the consistency compounds day after day, week after week, you then see the accumulation of those results. Now, where am I going with this? What did Jen help me put into graphics? I don't know if this is going to sound harsh or not, but I'm the tough love coach, so take it or leave it. But you've all heard of, you know, like 80-20 rule of life, right? And I think that's a great way to go about your life. We don't strive for perfection at all. Okay, but when we are in weight loss mode, right? When we are trying to be in weight loss mode and not in maintenance mode, this is where consistency really plays a part. So I heard this thing that if you just had like a consistency calendar, forget everything else. You decided for yourself that you have a few non-negotiable behaviors that when you do those things, you see weight loss and your day works better and you're happier and whatever it is. Okay, so for my sake, I thought about it like this. When I follow plate it, right? Because if you follow plate it for your meals, Alana said recently in a call, she said, people, it's really not about your 3 meals. Usually if you're worried about weight gain and things like that, it's about what happens beyond the 3 meals. In between the 3 meals, before the 3 meals, after the 3 meals, it's not necessarily about the 3 meals. So if I'm consistent with plated, then I know I'm in a good place. If I'm consistent about movement every day, I do not mean running a marathon every day. I do not mean sweating your brains out every day. I mean, in this day and age where, as Amwala says, sitting is the new smoking, movement. For me, that's part and parcel of non-negotiable behavior of being consistent throughout the day. And tracking. Again, I'm not going to get into specific detail about tracking means things to people, to different people, okay? But tracking in some way that you know works for you, which is why I was going to say, if somebody says to me, can I lose weight without tracking? My answer is, you can lose weight without tracking. I don't believe you can keep weight off without tracking. I do not believe that you can be the author of your own journey without the tracking to keep the weight off. I feel like then you're just in that diet mentality. Without tracking, you're following something in your head, and it could be short-lived. That's my opinion. To lose weight and keep it off, you need the tracking. You need that accountability, and you need that ability to learn. Okay, and the beauty of 2B mindset, right, with the tracking and using that and the scale as data. And Lily spent a couple of weeks ago talking about the scale and that emotional versus non-emotional. Where is that emotion coming from? I want to have you guys think about this whole idea of your journey. So many people I know talk about being on track and being off track, okay? I want you to think about this. Think about a track, right? A train track. People say, I'm on track, I'm off track, I'm on track, I'm off track. If you were looking at a train and they went off their track, you were up the creek, and everyone on that damn train is up the creek. We don't do off track, okay? Therefore, we don't do on track. That's really, I believe, limiting yourself. 2B mindset and a health journey. Alana gave this analogy, so I'm gonna say it here because I think it's great. Okay. Your weight loss journey and your health journey, because the point here is getting to maintenance and just being life. This is not about I'm on a diet and then when's my next diet, right? Imagine 2 islands surrounded by water, and your objective is to go from one island to the other island. Yes, you might be able to get in a boat, and it could take a few hours, let's say, without any storms, without any waves, without forgetting anything, take you a few hours to go from one island to the next island. That's not really how life works. There's gonna be some rain. There's gonna be a hurricane. There's gonna be something you forgot that you gotta backtrack, turn around. There's gonna be dips and turns and things you need to avoid. But you're en route to that other island. You never got off track. You might have needed to turn right or left or all those other different kinds of things. But I want you to really try to think about saying or not saying the words on track, off track. I feel, for me, that puts me in a more negative spin. And I feel like I did something wrong. And you haven't done anything wrong. You are learning and editing along the way this amazing story that belongs to you and only you. Because if a train goes off track, it affects everybody. Because one thing affects everybody the same if a train goes off track. But this is your own personal journey. So the same thing that happened to you is not going to then lead to the same results for somebody else. Okay? So I'm going to just make sure I didn't lose anything here. I'm going to share my screen for a minute and show you and talk about now this consistency thing, okay? Okay. Does everybody see something that says consistency calendar? Yes? Oh, amazing. Thank you, Jen, for doing this as I was speaking out loud, because that's just how amazing she is graphically, okay? Basically, it's something very simple. Consistency calendar, 3 non-negotiable daily behaviors. She took mine that I said, and I think this really works overall for people. For me, it was movement. I think we changed this to water. Played it, water, and tracking. Okay, 3 non-negotiables that you can say. Where does the consistency part come in? Okay, look at this. This is like a calendar. If you very, very simply are consistent with those 3 things, you plated your meals that day, you drank your water minimum that day, if not more, you tracked that day you put a check. If there was a day where you were not consistent with all 3 of those things, you circle it in red and this and whatever, but anyway, do that back and forth, okay? I'm going to stop sharing because I hate looking at a blank screen, okay? What's the point of this? You can go through that whole month or those 4 weeks, wherever you see it. You have your checks, you have your circles. You can get to the end of the month and you could have nailed it, 25 out of 30. And you felt like, great, look at that, 25 checks out of 30. I'd like you to do the math. 25 out of 30 is 80%. And this is where my tough love is going to come in. I'm not like this with my kids in school. But 80% is a B minus. Now that's great. That's really great. That's way above average. B minus is great. As long as you're then not looking at that other person who got a 95 and said, how come I don't have the same results as that person? Because you have to acknowledge the work that you put in. Now, yes, Yoni, you look so troubled.
And should we ever be comparing our progress
No.
to what anyone else is doing?
No, but that's the point of having your own tracker, right?
Just want to, that was my troubled look.
Oh, okay. Right? What is it?
We only-
Comparison is the devil of what? What's the quote? Somebody
I
put
will
it in.
compare me to where I was a week where anyone else was, because no one will ever have lived in my shoes.
Right. But I'm saying is I think in our heads, that's what's so beautiful about seeing the consistency in front of your face when you're saying, or when you wake up in the morning and you're frustrated or things like that. Now, with 80%, you can still get results. And this is not a race. And I can tell you when I first started 2B, I was for sure a solid B minus. Lily and I were doing this together because I remember we discussed it like a year later. We're like, wow, we solidly lost. Thank you. Comparison is a thief of joy. Thank you so much, Daria. We're like, we basically averaged 5-pound loss a month. And we're like, what the heck is Alana talking about when she says the average is 10 pounds lost a month? Yeah, because when you commit and embrace the joy of the consistency, then you can lose 10 pounds a month. You really can. I embraced the joy of 80%. I really did. That's where I was then, but I then became honest about it. And it wasn't then about, well, then how come it's not fair somebody else lost more? That's the only reason why I'm saying is like you have to put yourself in check. And I think this consistency calendar is a great way to have that visual and honesty with yourself. For me, I thought it was an incredible outlook and understanding when sometimes we're not getting how come I'm maintaining, how come I'm spending all week long losing weight, but then every Sunday I feel like I'm taking off what I gained over the weekend, right? We've said it before, your body does not know the difference between Tuesday and Saturday. Just because you feel entitled, again, I'm really sorry if that word bothers other people, but I'm telling you what I realized for myself, that I felt very much entitled when it came to Chag and holidays and Shabbatot, that, well, I should be able to have XYZ. In the past, I'd eat 6 times as much. Okay, so that means in the past I was in weight gain mode. I just wasn't weighing myself to see it. So those are things I wanted to share. We will put in the group this, anybody who wants this to download, we will put it in the group. I would say I'm going to put it here in the chat, but I know if you don't download it now right away, then you're going to be like, So we'll put it in the group, okay? No worries. Nobody has to freak out about downloading anything in the chat box, okay? Or if other people wrote, you're not going to get it, okay? Now for some questions. I want you all right now to think. Lily, I've not looked at the chat, so I really hope you're on top of that. If you have questions, put it in, because there was one more question. Thanks for the calendar. I saw that. See, I saw the chat. There was another question that we got handed in earlier that I do want to address, and I feel like this is a really big one. So in the meantime, while I'm talking about this, if you have a question, put it in, and we're going to continue this all week. I'm going to be 100% honest. I have not planned a single post for this week. This is not a pre-planned week post, okay? I do not know the post for tomorrow yet because I'm waiting to hear what you guys have to say and have to think. And I'd love to be able to keep on addressing it and keep this as an open conversation all week long. But one question that came up that I think is so pertinent, I know I've had it myself, is about weight fluctuation, okay? And does the tracker really reflect just the day before, or is it cumulative? Okay, I can expand upon that for me, and I know I've had challenges that have asked me. Sometimes I eat a lot one day, or I treat it a lot, okay? And I feel off the next day. I don't get it. Does that mean I'm supposed to be treating, right? And then sometimes you think, oh my God, I really didn't eat a lot. And then you didn't lose, or so many different things. This is where we talk about the zoom in, zoom out. There are so many factors that come into weight fluctuation, okay? And we can analyze a tracker day by day and the zooming out to see the overall weight. And this is sometimes where consistency, and this is very much why I mentioned earlier, where seeing patterns come into play, okay? A few things that I will tell you in terms of a day-to-day thing. Poop makes a difference, just does. Really, really, really does. You're gonna learn. That's part of your own story. That's part of your own journey and diary. You will figure out what days lead to it, what days don't. And guess what? Stress can affect the poop even if you ate exactly the same. So don't freak out sometimes, because you can eat the same thing 2 days in a row. And maybe one day you poop, maybe one day you don't. One day you're more regular. Maybe sometimes it's before your period, middle of your period, after your period. That affects things. Okay, so understand those make a difference. Then you have some vegetables that fill you up and maybe bloat you, and you need to give it 2 days for all that fiber to run its course and come out. Okay, what else did I write down? Water retention from working out, muscle retention, and water and storing water. Real thing, guys. It's a real thing. You might find, and you might think it's bizarre, that maybe on rest days, or if you're not working out, sometimes weight loss can be easier. Not necessarily everybody, again, but this is part of you need to figure out your own patterns. Here's also something I want to discuss in terms of the, oh my God, I ate some treats, but I lost the next day. That just could have been that day. I wouldn't test to say, oh, now I'll do that every day, because very often you might see that you might have eaten things that you feel like shouldn't have been good for you for weight loss. You see a loss the next day, but then the day after that, you go up. Again, the amounts of fiber, you might have also seen a day where you didn't eat a lot, and maybe you had a chocolate bar and some whatever, and you saw a loss, and that might be because your body's not full of fiber, and so you lost water and this and whatever it is. There's really no tricks behind any of this. Unhealthy food doesn't make you lose weight consistently. Okay, so you do need to figure out and recognize the patterns that do work for you. You might find days that you eat more are weight loss days, but it's more of the good stuff. It's the volume of the vegetables and the water. And you might think, oh my God, I barely ate that day. How come I didn't, that's so weird, I didn't lose weight. But it might be what that little bit was made up of. And that part wasn't good for you. So again, all those things. I know, I can tell you my body likes food. I don't lose weight after a fast day. My body's like saying, what the hell did you just do? My body likes food. And I think many of ours do. It just likes the right kinds of food, okay?
And sleep.
Sleep. Sleep. You can eat the same exact thing 2 days in a row. You might find a huge difference if you barely got in 5, 6 hours or it was interrupted versus solid good sleep. I can tell you, I have not slept well. This insane weather right now here, I have not slept well in days. That scale's not moving in the right direction for me. Okay? Hormones, this, so many things. Guys, if you have not been to a doctor, go to a doctor. Have a baseline. Know what's going on inside your body. Okay?
So,
Really, really important.
guys, I just want you to hear what's so amazing about what Ayala's saying is that even while all that is true, the only way to release any emotional attachment to these changes and be able to see the actual changes that are affected by your food is to track every day without over obsessing. And that way you get to zoom out and you get to see whenever I'm stressed out, the scale can be up 5 pounds. Okay, but if I take stress out of the equation and now when I look at my month, either I see I'm on track with my food or I see I'm not on track with my food, and that stress is also maybe making me make poorer choices, and that's why the scale is going up. Okay, I can really see I ate really well, but my sleep isn't great. Okay, that way I know the second I get a few good nights sleep, that weight, any extra weight's gonna drop off. But if I see that because I'm not sleeping well, I'm also extra eating, okay, I see that connection. Like a lot of times it's the food and everything else. And usually we have a problem with something else and we less have a problem with food. And that's if you do what Ayala said, and every time you have a fight with your kids and your kids don't go to bed, and I said you track that when you're not dinner and done, all of a sudden you're going to see a cross connection between that 5-year-old's bedtime and eating after they go to bed and not being dinner and done. And then instead of feeling like I can never be dinner and done, your tracker is going to tell you need to edit that story to, I need something better to do with my 5-year-old at night so I can be dinner and done.
And that's the whole point. When you find your patterns, it helps you have a better relationship with the scale because you end up knowing how to predict it. And then you can be secure in saying, okay, I can look back at my food. I can look back at the times that I ate. I can look back at how much water I had. But I know when, like Lily said, if my nighttime this or my sleep time, and then if the scale goes up the next day, that you're basically able to predict that because you know that can happen to you. And it really takes a lot of that emotional pull out. I'd love to, we don't have a lot of time left. I'm going to try to run through some questions that I see in the chat. I also want to say one thing, if we're already on this whole tough love thing. Many people say to me when it comes to treats, okay, like, well, I treated here, I treated there, I treated this is okay, blah, 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 blah. I would like to explain what treat is. Yes, Alana says treat, not cheat, okay? A treat is something you plan, something you can quantify, something you enjoy. I'm sure other coaches can put in other things here. For me, the most important thing is something you do not regret the next day, no matter what the scale says. When you guys, or not you guys, or me also, when I say, well, I treated with this, some of the times we're just calling unhealthy things treats. And they're not. If you need to go back to the consistency calendar, treats are not part of consistency. You might find for yourself that, okay, if I properly treat, like I said, twice a week, I have the weight loss that I'm looking for. Yes, treats have to be mindful. They're not just a retroactive excuse. Because otherwise, then it is a cheat, because you're just cheating yourself in the honesty that you can be having with yourself.
And
okay?
I love what you just said, guys. So just let that sink in for 1 sec, like how deep that was. That a treat is something that's also quantifiable because in your tracker, it then gives you freedom to fully enjoy that treat without any fear of the future or regret of the past. You want to be, if you're eating this and you're concerned about what the scale is going to say, you already know it's not a treat. A treat has to have 0 regret of the past and 0 fear of the future. If you are at all scared or concerned about what the scale will say tomorrow, whatever you're eating is not worth it.
Okay, a question that I see here that I'd love to address. is about where was it? When I see it, is there a time when it's best to stop eating like an hour during the night for consistency? Again, everybody will find their things, and sometimes you can't play it out. Sometimes you're going out, or sometimes something else happened. Like to me, I do better when I eat breakfast, and today, the way things were with work, it didn't happen. I didn't forget to eat. I wasn't trying to trick the system. I literally could not put anything in my mouth besides water until 1 o'clock. Nighttime. Here's a rule of thumb for me in terms of, I think, also biologically. It takes your body about 3 hours to digest, okay? So dinner, in theory, should be finished 3 hours before you go to sleep, at least. That works for me. If you are going to sleep, if you ever found that on Shabbos morning you wake up yucky, on a Shabbos that started late because you ate, and then you just want to get to sleep, you might feel yucky the next morning, or you might even feel more hungry the next morning because your body then at night is working instead of resting. So it's like saying you didn't realize while you were sleeping, you just ran a marathon. Of course you woke up hungry, or of course you woke up weak, or of course you woke up yuck, okay? Your body needs 3 hours to digest food. That's my rule of thumb that I try to think about when I'm going to sleep, and I like to eat my dinner before that. It's not always
And
the same exact-
hormonally with the sun,
Mhm.
like you, in the winter, you do, again, with job allowing, we have nurses, we have people who work night shifts. Avoiding that, in the winter, you do want to shift your meals a little bit earlier. In the summer, most people find their body is a bit more flexible. But again, you have to look at your lifestyle, and that's what the tracker then frees you from having to fit your lifestyle into our lifestyle. We have less than a minute. Want to close
Less
it
than a
off?
minute left. I want, is there any way I can get a copy of this chat? I have no idea how to do that. But here's what I want. Tomorrow's post, okay? Tomorrow's post is going to be this call, okay? It's going to be this call. I'm going to hopefully be able to remember and go back and talk about and write some posts about this. But I want, honestly, the questions that you have, or if something did not resonate or did resonate, I want to see that in the comments. I want to know what we're going to be discussing the rest of the week here, okay? That's what I want, and I want you to think about the idea of tracking and how it works for you. This is your story, your journey, and we're all a part of each other's journey, but you need to take ownership of it. Woo! Finish without being cut off. Yay!
Thank you so much.